A big thing yesterday was World Health Day.
Yes.
And in Nigeria, the whole talk has been, how are we faring with health? Of course, for 2024, it is my health, my right. Quite big theme. Yeah, so yes, we listen to you and what you think about World Health Celebration, especially as it has to do with our country, Nigeria.
Okay, once again, good morning, viewer, and thank you for having me. You see, the issues, surrounding some of these, calendar days, as I call them, is not just about, marking out a day, you understand, but it's also about, the issues, especially when it has to do with health. Health is something that is very fundamental, you understand. And sad to say, we have not actually been faring well as far as some of the health indices, mortality rates, infant mortality rates, basic health, and some of the things. And it's something that is out there, you understand, where we have plenty of, tourisms, people going abroad, to take care of very, very minor elements, you understand. So in all the indices, in all the areas, everything concerning health, as far as we are concerned in Nigeria, we have fared badly. So the issue is, especially when it has to do with budgeting, you understand. So the issue is, what is the government actually doing? You understand? So on daily basis, on annual basis, on monthly basis, we come up with this, HIV day, this day, blood pressure day, diabetes day, and all that. Once the day passes, that's the end. You understand? So we need to begin to think of a very, very comprehensive and articulated policy plan, and not just having those things on paper, but articulate execution. You understand? Because where you have health issues, productivity dips, it begins to affect the GDP, it begins to affect the economy, it begins to affect, so many facets of the economy. So until we begin to, prioritize everything that has to do with health, all those things are just mere, things with just a voice, and then eventually nothing gets to happen. So it's something critical. If we say today is a World Health Day, let governments really come and let them be transparent and open and tell people clearly, these are the things we are doing. Yes, we are here, but this is where we're headed. This is what we want to do. These are the things we want to begin to do. You understand? So that people begin to have faith in the economy. It's a shame. It's a shame, quite a shame that, we keep traveling abroad, scarce FX that's not available, we are spending it to travel out, to go and take care of our health, you understand, instead of a government coming out with, thank God for, private, the church, some individuals who are even building and equipping hospitals. It's not right. That's not the ideal thing, because ideally government should be the primary, galvanizer of that sector.
Just like you talked about the government, and you said, even though one of the reasons why we don't even feel the pinch as much, because that's a big problem, like you said. But then it's because the church here is, scooping it in bits. Private individuals are also, coming in. But then when we look at the theme of 2024, my health, my rights. So then we look at, I think it is a wonderful one. Correct. Because it simply agrees with you that the government, because when we talk about our rights, then it means something the government owes us.
Yes.
So let's look at the Nigerian scenario and what the government owes. I think it was in 2001 when African countries came together in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Yes. And we had, in 2001, what we call the Abuja Declaration. Simply African countries, heads of state coming together to say, you know what, looking at all of the issues we have with health in Africa, let us all commit to 15%, minimum of 15%, to health care. This is 2024. And even in Nigeria, where this was signed, Nigeria definitely would be a major signatory to this. I think in 2024, I wanted to say Tinubu's budget, but Nigeria's budget, we didn't do 5%, So like you also said, when we look at all of the indices that has to do with USAID, that is in Nigeria, also doing its bits, because this international bodies are also in Nigeria, also doing their bits where the government has failed. they actually said that Nigeria is low on every indices. Are we looking at maternal mortality? Are we looking at infant mortality? Are we looking at under 5 mortality? All of these things. And just to put this in perspective, while Nigeria is budgeting about 1.3 trillion on health, what Nigerians need is about 7 trillion. The question I'm going to ask you right now is this. How do we use today to, both as media, those of us in the media, you know, and every other stakeholder, to start holding government accountable, knocking on the doors of government, that 5% is, even by your own pen to paper, is too low. Do you think we can really achieve this?
You know, that's why sometimes, you know, when we begin to, you know, come up with some of these themes, I don't, you know, take them so seriously. You understand? This is wonderful, this is good. But the issue is the action plan and what we do. You understand? You know, so coming to your question, you know, how do we begin to hold governments accountable? You understand? If we are talking about 5%, we're talking about 10%, 15%. How do we hold governments accountable to ensure that they do what the minimum? Let them even do the least. You understand? You know, that's when, you know, we actually have a challenge. We have a challenge, as it were. We really have a challenge because advocacy groups, you understand, people coming together to pressure government and all that. And you find that maybe because of the way the economy is, you know, people want to feed their tummies first before they begin to advocate or before they begin to gather and begin to talk to government. And, you know, we've come to this point where we dimension things and begin to, if we are not going tribal, we are going political, we are going religion and all that. And it begins to fragment, you know, where we're supposed to come together to hold government accountable, especially on issues of health, which is a fundamental right. You know, like he said, you know, we, you know, dissipate energy on, you know, very, very, you know, inconsequential things. And we don't eventually come together to, you know, hold government accountable. So that's the first challenge, you understand? So until, you know, advocacy groups, whether economic groups, whether health groups, whether, you know, whatever group can begin to point out some of these things and tell government, see, we signed this in 2001. The minimum you should budget on annual basis from 2021 to, from 2001 to date. You know how many years it is? How many people have held governments have called their, you know, states? We go to sometimes they roll out their draft budget and all that, and we don't begin to point out these things to tell government. We signed this. Come up to this level in the minimum. You understand? Because this is very critical to your economy and all that. We don't question that. We just pass the House of Assembly. We just pass, sign, and you know they got there, and that's the end. You know, so until we begin to come together to tell each government that what you are doing, state governments, you know, local governments at all levels, what you are doing is right. We sign to this, and we should begin to gravitate. Okay, if we agree on 10%, for instance, and we see this year you're on 6, next year we're on 8, the other year we'll now see progressive movement. You understand? But it's not there. If anything, it may even begin to
it's regressing.
You understand? So it's a fundamental challenge until, you know, we begin to realize and agree that at some point, especially when it has to do with fundamental rights, you understand, like health, let's leave out everything about tribal and all that and come together and hold our governments accountable for some of these things. That's when we'll begin to even, you know, move a little bit. But it's a critical challenge.
A very critical challenge. All right, another critical challenge I will talk about right now is